Hi, I'm sure you've heard about planking before, and maybe you know some of the benefits, but you may also know some of the pitfalls with planking. So today, Bear and I are going to do a series of planking possibilities, but with a few things to remind you of. And that is that the benefits of planking would be things like bone building, strengthening of your entire body, specifically focusing on upper body strength. And some of the pitfalls are if our alignment is not good, then we're actually doing more harm. So we need to really make sure that everything is balanced. So join me on the mat as we work through the setup of how to be in the best position. And then we're going to be doing a couple of drills. So I have my phone set on 30 seconds and we'll be doing multiple of those. So you can join me as we go along or set your own timer to come along. All right, let's go. So coming down onto the floor, setup is critical. We want hands under shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and the spine to be really balanced. So there's no sagging shoulders, no dropping of the head, and when we're in a full position, never dropping the tail and belly down towards the floor. So the ideal position is that your head is higher than shoulders and shoulders is higher than pelvis behind you. So this would be your ultimate setup, right? Can we be in this position? Can we find our form? Are we connecting shoulders to ribs? And are we able to breathe easily in and out? So that's step number one. But let's take it into the plank and we're going to hit our first 30-second hold. So the timer goes on. Now, as you walk your legs out behind you, nothing should have changed in the shape of your upper body. So you're making sure that you're not looking down towards your toes and you're not looking forward out in front of you, that your eye gaze is just balanced down toward the ground and the feeling of the head being pushed up towards the ceiling. Focusing on something nice and strong around your central body so that you're not sagging or dropping to the floor. As the timer stops, which is pretty darn soon, we're going to take a 2-second rest. Done. All right, so it's as important for rest time as it is for action time. So just taking about a 15-second rest and then we're going to get to it again. Same position, same movement, just letting you know that you're probably going to start to get warm and you're going to hear my voice change and quiver. So stage 2, here we are. So as I'm doing these movements, you're feeling like my heels are kind of pushing down into the floor, almost like it's about to push me off out into the stratosphere. So just making sure that your back of your legs are nice and active. They're what help your spine stay upright and buoyant in the air. And 30 seconds is not a long time, except when you're doing a plank, of course. So we only have a few seconds left, staying strong always till the very end, and then coming back and down. So our next one is going to be a little bit more challenging because we're going to do it on our forearms. So the length of our arms is now shorter to the floor, so your center of gravity is a little bit lower, but it's an imbalance in length of arms to legs, and that's why it's going to be that little bit more challenging. Everything stays the same, so we've got elbows now under shoulders, so your alignment of your arms is still there, and let's take it away. So starting on finding your plank position and then staying here. It always helps if you've got someone who can help you see if your form is changing, but those common things of the head dropping down, you'll know straight away if your form has shifted. You'll probably be shaking a little bit, and that's totally fine and totally normal. And as you build up your strength, we're going to start to increase the holds. Not today, of course, but you can do that on your own. And here we are, down to the ground with a rest. So again, doing what you have to do, reposition your clothing if you need to, and then we'll have our moment's little rest. Don't you just love it when your dog looks at you and thinks, what are you doing? I'm trying to help the world through better Pilates. All right, so here we go for our next round. 30 seconds on the clock, and we're in position. So sometimes it helps. You can have space for your dog to come underneath you and just be part of the action. I have the best supporter in the world, don't I? Yes. Oh, this is getting challenging. Like I said, these shorter arm moves are much more challenging to cope with. 2, 1, and down we go. Oh, fabulous. All right. So what we're going to do next is we're going to have a little play of the two heights. So again, your timer is on for 30 seconds. If you're finding it too challenging, always come down when you need to. You don't have to do all the repetitions. But let's see, we're going to begin in our full plank, and away we go. So we're on the full plank, and you're going to come down onto your elbow, and up onto your hand, and and go down again. Elbow, elbow, and up on hand. Now I'm going to switch which arm I go down on. So down on the 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know straight away in my body that is a little more challenging to do it in that direction. Oh, and stay and hold. And 30 seconds is done. Whew, we got one more to do in this variation, and then we're moving on. Like I said, the highlight time is when you're down and just taking a little rest. The rest time can't be as long as the moving time though. So ready to go again. We're going into our full plank alignment, and then from here we're going to start to go forward and backward from our toes and our ankles, getting movement front and back, but again without dropping through that form. So this is really putting different stresses onto your shoulder muscles, your calf muscles, your hip muscles, your back muscles, your core muscles as we do our moves front and back. And again, like I said, 30 seconds doesn't seem like a long time. Oh, but when it's over, you're so happy. All right, I know I said we had one more, but of course, as a Pilates instructor, I always say that and never mean it. So we're going for a really nice coordinated move, and that's going to be what I call cross arm tapping. So again, finding your full position of your plank. Let's start you out, and here we go. Taking one hand to a shoulder and to the other shoulder. Take it to the opposite hip and opposite hip. We go around again, shoulder, shoulder, and hip, and hip. And then we go the other way around, starting at the hip. So crossover hip, hip, shoulder, shoulder, and hip, hip, and shoulder, shoulder. And hold, 2, 1, woo, and down. Amazing what you can fit into 30 seconds. So adding on to the series, one more beautiful thing to do, and here we go. So find the plank, hold the position, and then we're going to take an arm forward and a leg backward, and then bringing it down and switching sides, out and in. So as the arm and leg are moving away from the floor, there's got to be a little bit of adjustment that happens in the body. So don't be surprised or alarmed if you notice the height of your body shifting a little bit. That's quite normal. What you don't want to do is to be lifting your hips up into the ceiling. And then rest. Whew. All right, like I said, that heart rate is going to come up, and it's going to be entertaining. So we can't always just plank in one range. So we're going to now flip onto our sides and do a similar series here. Before I put the timer on, we're just going to focus on how do I set myself up. And that's going to be, again, shoulder and arm placement, and hip and leg placement. So finding your position, you can have one foot in front of the other to find a bigger base of support. But what you don't want to do is to have your shoulder too far away from your underarm. So bringing yourself over that hand a little bit better. And then, of course, the ultimate would be to have both feet stacked on top of each other like that. All right, so now that we know what we're doing, we're going to set that timer. Here we go. I hope you're enjoying this, by the way. This is summer holidays for us, and we've just had some Christmas and New Year's festivities. So these are great things to be doing, just to make sure that you're still moving and feeling the benefits in your body after maybe overindulging, because it doesn't matter who you are. I believe all of us get to do that every now and again. Oh man, hold, feeling the underbody here over obliques, working strongly, and resting all the way down. All right, so we're going to add on to that. Of course, if you're not ready for the adding on, don't worry about it. You just do what you need to do. A variation that you could do again, of course, is as you come up, just put one knee on the ground. That's going to still be doing all the good strength work through the side of the body and through the arms, and making it a little bit easier to cope with through the whole series. So here we go. And set yourself back up again in position. And then raising your arm straight up towards the ceiling. There is nothing fancy about this except having the arm up adds so much more. It actually balances out the arm that's on the floor and the two legs outstretched away from you. Focus on that length, so top of the head reaching out, feet reaching down, and then you'll be feeling super long through the whole of the body. I like to check the clock because, boy, 30 seconds hasn't changed, but it gets stronger each time. As we did before, we're now going to take it down onto the forearm. So remember, it was pretty challenging facing forward. It's going to be just as challenging facing side. So remember, your alternatives are also still to have the underneath knee bent as you lift your hips up into the air. Be mindful of what's happening through your shoulder. You don't want to collapse into your shoulder. You always want to feel strong and pressed away from the mat surface. So 1, 2, 3, here we go. Pick those hips up. Feeling really like you're being stretched apart, top of the head all the way down towards the feet. And keeping your arm alongside the body to start. And breathing in and breathing out. If you were like me and able to talk through the movement, you'd know you're doing pretty okay. If you're really struggling to breathe though, you may need to take a break. Ooh. Otherwise stay for 2, 1, and down we come. Good news is, of course, we have another variation to do, just like we did on the other side, or in our full version, we're going to add the arm raising to the ceiling. Of course, you could add the leg lifting too, but why go there when you don't need to? Let's just focus on form before anything else. And away we go. So find that setup. When you're in the correct balance, anything is possible. I like to talk about planking as building a house with the correct foundation. So if your walls are skew and out of alignment, the house will fall over at some stage, or it's going to take stress in lots of parts of the framework. So same with the body. If your arm is too far away from you, if your legs are not working correctly, if your spine is not lifted, if your hips are not balanced, it's going to be too challenging. And down we come. Oh, aren't you glad that you're just a human with 2 sides and not an octopus with 8 as we make our way over to the opposite direction? All right, sometimes I wish I had a glass of water with me. I would definitely sip that now. So we're going to our full variation, so up onto hands and feet, and away we go. By now you should know all the different types of variations you can create. So doing what works for you. Just notice that my hand's a little too far out, so make the adjustment, right? There's no harm in changing your position as you're doing this. There's more harm in keeping a position that's not good for you rather than making the change. Strong. Gosh, I'm starting to feel that this may be my stronger side. No. Still got a few seconds to go. And down we come. I'll move this over so I can see it a little bit better. Sometimes Bear leaves me when I'm doing a video, but today he seems to be absolutely fixated with what it is that we're doing. He's very intrigued why his human is deciding to do this video today. All right, ready for round 2. So again, back up onto position, hands and feet position stacked, and then top arm is up. So I'm not trying to bring my arm out of my shoulder. Eyes are still trying to look forward. I know I keep looking at the camera, but really your alignment of your head is important. So there's no drop looking down, looking up or sideways. You want to really feel like the back of your head is pressing against an imaginary wall behind you. So staying super strong through these movements, energy pressing out through the legs and out through the top of the head. And down we go. Who knew 30 seconds could go so quickly? All right, we're going down onto the forearm for 2. So first one is, again, no hand in the air. Ooh, take a breather. Still remember the rest. That's important. I know I feel like I'm rushing through, but the rest is happening. And away we go. So set up, hip away from the ground, and then holding your position. When this lower body starts to feel the drag is when you really want to create a sense of lightness in your spine and feeling like you're pressing out of your arm, pressing out through your feet, and then like an imaginary band holding your hips up towards the ceiling. That's really going to help when you distribute the force of movement and not just overload one joint or area of your body. And down we go. Super duper. Hope you're doing well. My arms are starting to feel it, which is really good. Like I said, it's a huge benefit to upper body strength. All right, so our next move, same thing on your elbow side position with the arm in the air. I wonder what we're going to talk about for this 30 seconds. So again, find your position and then arm reaching up for the ceiling. If you were doing this in front of a mirror, that's pretty cool because then you could see your alignment. So most things that happen that are negative for your planking position on the shoulder would be that shoulder popping forward or dropping down or winging behind the back of your shoulder blade. So you want to make sure that all of that is nice and supportive for you. And down to the floor we go. Oh, you're doing so well. It's almost over, but not quite. All right, so we've done our side positions. So now we have to do a forward or upward facing plank. So we're going to turn to the side, to the front lie shape. Now this one's not so easy, and hand position is pretty important. So you could have hands facing in, you could take them to the side, or you can face them towards the back. Most people will feel more comfortable with the arms facing back, and what that does is it helps to open up through the shoulder. So that's the range that I'm going to take it into. As I've said time and time again, you can do lots of things, like we could start with knees bent. In fact, let's just do that. So away we go for 30 seconds. So feet on the floor, lift the hips up and aim your knees out away from you. So your beginning structures are always so incredibly important in our moves, because that's what's going to give you longevity in the full exercise. And if you're tight across your shoulders or through your arms, this is a challenging position to be in anyway. So staying here until your joints are mobile enough to open up and enjoy the benefit of the full variation. And then bringing ourselves down. That wasn't too much of a challenge, so we're going to go straight away into our full variation, which is going to have the legs outstretched in front of you, and the hands back behind you, and starting on, sorry babe, and we're lifting the pelvis up into the air. Now, don't overly point your toes and try and get your toes to touch the floor. Don't overly flex them, because then you'll get a drop through your hips. So you just want to feel like you're in a balanced position, even weight through the back of the heel, so don't roll out onto the edges of the feet or roll inward, but again, staying nice and centered, eyes looking forward, not looking up away from you. Strong in your upper body. Strong in your middle body, strong in your foundation. And down we come towards the mat. Done. All right, so we're going to do that one more time. Oh, take our breather. A challenging series, isn't it? Hope you're enjoying it though. All right, so here we go. We're almost done, and we're lifting the hips up. Looking out. See if you can create a smile on your face while you do that. Don't you hate it when people tell you to smile in the middle of something really strenuous? Well, if you're not having fun, your body's not going to be enjoying it. So you may as well have a good time if you're doing the effort of this whole series. I think I'm going to be thanking all of you who watch this video for days to come. Almost there. 2, 1, and we are down. All right, so we're at that time where we're going to put it all together. What does that mean, they say? Well, if you can do plank in all of those individual ways, how we increase what you're doing is we make it multifaceted, multidimensional, and multi-moving. So we call that dynamic. So we're going to take it from our front plank position and go around the world. So 30 seconds on the timer. Let's take you there. From your front, bring your 2 feet to each other, slip onto the side of your foot and aim your arm up towards the ceiling. From there, take your hand behind you, facing away towards the opposite side, And again, make sure your feet are together as you swivel yourself around and you're back on the side position. You'll notice that you're going to come away from the mat surface and then you'll be back onto all fours. Now, if I didn't have a mat to be on, I would just roll away from you and carry on doing it. And pause. Can you believe that was just 30 seconds? So we're going to do it again, but this time we'll go from the opposite way around. So remember, we have strong patterns in our body and they take us into ways that we like. So we have to do the ways that we don't like as well. So here we go. Starting on your front, holding the position, strong throughout. Feet together, important. Flip your feet to the side. See if you can still face forward. And then bringing your arm towards the ceiling. Holding the strong position, move over onto the back portion, sorry Bear, and aiming hips up, eyes looking forward, strong through those legs. Then we're going to roll over onto the side again and aim your arm towards the ceiling, finding your balance. And then finally, we're going to bring it into all fours position again, walking yourself back to your mat. And that is done. Congratulations. You just made it through all the planking possibilities. There's so many more things you can do to enhance what you've done, but start with that. And if you've got any questions and you want to know how to improve it, send me a message below and we can always add in more variations in a new video. Thanks for joining us. Bye.